This is a world where money has no value. Here, time is everything. If you want to buy anything, you have to give up some time from your life in exchange for that item. But to live a good life in this world, you also need to have time. Because when a person reaches the age of 25, a 1-year countdown starts on their arm. The moment the countdown hits 0, that person is finished. The rich had so much time that they could live for 1,000 years. The rich had created a separate world for themselves where they lived a peaceful life. But on the other side, the poor people living in Ghetto City worked day and night to earn time for themselves, or their lives would end. A boy named Will lived in this poor settlement with only 23 hours left on his clock. Will lived with his mom. Since aging stops after 25, his mother, despite being 50, looked very young. It was Will's mom's 50th birthday today. To celebrate her birthday, Will had worked overtime the previous night and brought a bottle of champagne. Will's mom was very happy to see this and told Will that she wanted to see her grandchildren. "Why don't you date a girl?" Will replied, "Who has the time for all that?" Will's mom told him, "I need to clear the electricity bill and the bank loan by tomorrow's date, or we might face a fine." She said, "I only have 3 days of time. Paying the electricity bill and the bank loan will spend almost all my time. So make sure to wait for me at the bus stop tomorrow evening so I can take some time from you before my total time runs out." Will said, "Okay, I'll be there on time." Before leaving, Will's mom touched Will's hand and transferred 30 minutes into his body so Will could buy a good breakfast. After this, they both left for their respective jobs. On the way, a little girl approaches Will, she gives Will a capsule, and asks him for a little of his time. Will smiles and gives the little girl 5 minutes of his life in the capsule, and she leaves. Here we learn that these people can also store their time in a capsule, which they can use or transfer anytime. After this, Will reaches the factory for work. Before starting work, he goes to get coffee, but there he sees that the price of everything has doubled. Where coffee used to cost 2 minutes, the price is now doubled to 4 minutes. Here, the price of anything can be raised at any time without any announcement. This makes Will very upset. Out of compulsion, Will paid 4 minutes of his life for the coffee and got to work. After a day's work, Will goes to a bar with his friend at night. Will's friend was an absolute drunkard. He was always in a drunken stupor. Will's friend signals to Will that that man is buying free drinks for everyone and has a lot of time. When Will looked at the man after hearing this, he was surrounded by girls. When Will looked at the man's clock, he had 116 years of time. Will understood that this man was from Greenwich City because people in Ghetto City only have a maximum of 2 days of time. Will went up to the man and started to warn him that he shouldn't be here. "There's a danger of thieves here. They will kill you and steal your time. So get out of here quickly." But the man didn't take Will seriously and ignored him to continue drinking. Just then, a gangster named Fortis arrived at the bar with his group, causing everyone to flee. These are the biggest thugs in the city who forcefully steal time from people. Will's friends started pulling Will to leave, but Will refused to go and hid in a corner to watch everything. Fortis had come to steal all the rich man's time. Fortis challenged the man, "Let's arm wrestle, and the loser will give all his time to the winner." This time fight was like arm wrestling, where 2 people had to grab each other's wrist. Whichever person's wrist was forced down, their time would start decreasing, and that time would transfer to the person whose wrist was up. In this way, the winner would store all the time from the other person in his body, killing him. Fortis asked the man, "Are you ready for this?" The rich man replied, "I've drunk too much, so I need some time. After that, I'm ready for your challenge." Fortis said, "Fine, this is your last wish. Go, I'll give you a few minutes to get ready." Fortis also sent one of his men with him so he couldn't escape. The rich man went to the bathroom and started vomiting heavily because he was very drunk. If he had arm wrestled Fortis in that state, the rich man's defeat was a certainty. Just then, Will arrived. He killed Fortis's man, took the rich man out of that place, and brought him to a safe place, saving him from Fortis. Will told the rich man, "I told you your life was in danger. Why are you deliberately wasting your time?" The man told Will his name was Henry and asked Will his age. Will said, 28 years old. Henry said, "I am 105 years old, and I'm tired of life now. I have enjoyed everything in my life, and I no longer need this life. I don't want to live." Will asked in surprise, "What exactly are you trying to say?" Henry replied, "It seems you are still unaware of the truth. Have you ever wondered why different time zones were created in this world? Why are the prices of goods and taxes increased at any time in your time zone, ghetto? The truth is, inflation is deliberately increased so that poor people keep dying, and the rich people in the Greenwich time zone benefit from their deaths. In reality, this whole system was created by them. Just think, people in the Greenwich time zone have thousands of years to live. But here in ghetto, you people work hard every day to live. This is because they have forced you to do this. They don't want to give you people more time so that you are forced to work for them. They force you to spend more and more time by increasing inflation so that they can live forever with your time. They have accumulated every day of their life from the deaths of the poor, and I absolutely do not want to live a life that has been gained from the death of a poor, helpless person." After hearing all this, Will understood that Henry was a very kind-hearted person. Henry further asked, "Will, if you had as much time as I do, what would you do?" Will smiled and said, "First, I would stop checking the time repeatedly, because even then Will only had 18 hours. I check my clock all the time, before sleeping, after sleeping, and while eating, because I am afraid that my time might run out and I might die." Will said, "My mom works very hard to manage the house. If I had as much time as you, I would buy a good house for my mom in Greenwich City, and we would both live happily there." After this, Will told Henry, "We have to stay here tonight. The danger will pass by morning, then you can return to your home." After this, the two of them went to sleep. In the morning, Henry woke up and saw that Will was still sleeping. He went to Will and transferred all the time he had to Will, saving only a few minutes for himself, and then went and sat on a bridge. When Will woke up from sleep, he saw that Henry had gone. Then, as usual, Will looked at his clock after waking up. 116 years had been added to Will's clock. His eyes widened in shock. He thought he was still asleep and dreaming. During this, Will noticed a note on the window that read, "Don't waste my time." He understood that Henry had given him all his time. Just then, Will saw Henry sitting on the edge of a bridge in the distance. Will quickly ran towards Henry, but it was too late, because Henry only had a few seconds left, and after a while, he instantly died and fell into the water from the bridge. Will was extremely saddened by the death of Henry. Now Will had 116 years of life, and he understood that if he stayed here, people would think he had killed Henry. Will quickly goes to his friend. His friend is shocked to see so much time on Will's arm. Will then gave his friend 10 years of time for the sake of friendship. His friend sincerely thanked him for this. Will said, "It's not safe for me to stay here now, because seeing so much time, anyone could kill me to steal it. Now I can buy a good house for my mom in Greenwich City, and we can both live happily there." After this, Will said goodbye to his friend and left, going straight to the bus stop to wait for his mom. His mom had told him 2 days earlier that she would reach this bus stop after paying the electricity bill and the bank loan.
Meanwhile, Will's mom boarded the bus to go home after paying all the loans and bills. But then she found out that the price of the bus ticket had doubled in a single day. Where a ticket used to cost 1 hour, the price was now 2 hours. Will's mom became very worried because she only had 1.5 hours left. Will's mom requested the bus driver that her son would give him the remaining time at the next stop. But the bus driver flatly refused and said that if she didn't have the time, she should walk. But Will's mom knew that the next bus stop was very far. Even if she walked, it would take her 2 hours to get there. There were many passengers on the bus at that time. Will's mom requested them, but no one helped her. Just then, the bus left. Will's mom, Rachel, didn't have much time left, so she started running towards home on foot. On the other side, Will was waiting for his mom at the bus stop with a bouquet of flowers because he had to celebrate his mom's birthday today. When the bus arrived at the stop, many passengers got off, but his mom was not among them. Will got worried seeing this and understood that his mom must be in trouble. He immediately ran off in search of his mom. Meanwhile, Rachel had only a few minutes left. She was knocking on the doors of cars and people's houses on the way, begging for some time as alone, but no one was willing to help her. Will ran a short distance and then saw his mom running. Seeing his mom running, Will understood that she didn't have much time. He stretched out his hand and ran towards her quickly. Rachel now had only 10 seconds left. She too was running towards Will as fast as she could. But just as Rachel reached her son Will, her time ran out and she died. Will was deeply saddened by this because he had so many plans for his mom. He cried out loud. The next morning, Henry's dead body was found by the timekeepers. These timekeepers conducted an investigation there. In today's world, timekeepers were like the police. Their job was also to prevent crime. Raymond, the timekeeper's officer, thoroughly inspected the area but found no clue. Then Raymond noticed the CCTV camera near the bridge. He headed to the CCTV room to check the footage. On the other side, Will understood that the rich people living in Greenwich were responsible for his mom's death, as they had made the people of Ghetto City dependent on every single second. Now Will set off for Greenwich to take revenge on them, and the real story begins here. Will had to spend 1 year's time to enter Greenwich City, and reached Greenwich City. When Will saw the lifestyle of the rich people there, his eyes widened in disbelief. People there had so much time that they had forgotten the very concept of dying. Even the bodyguards of the rich people had more than 100 years of time. Seeing this, Will was filled with anger because people in the city he came from only had a 24-hour life. Will stayed at an expensive hotel there. While eating, a very beautiful girl saw Will as if she liked him. Meanwhile, timekeeper Raymond was checking the CCTV footage from the time of Henry's death. Just then he saw Will in the footage, although the camera did not record Henry falling from the bridge. Will was seen standing near the bridge in the footage, which made Raymond suspicious of Will. So Raymond asked his team to gather information about Will. During the investigation, the timekeepers found out that a man named Will had spent a lot of time to enter Greenwich City. This confirmed Raymond's suspicion that Will had killed Henry. Raymond immediately left for Greenwich City with his team. In Greenwich City, Will came to a casino where some rich people were playing poker. Will also sat with them. Seeing a new person, these people laughed at him, but Will was a gambling expert. Today was the best chance for him to get money from the rich. Will played the game of poker with a rich man named Philippe. Philippe is the richest person here. He owns a time bank that gives time to people on loan. Philippe's daughter was also sitting with them. This was the same girl who was observing Will earlier. When the game started, Will bet all his life's time, and with his mind, he won 1,100 years from Philippe. Sylvia was very impressed with Will. She invited Will to a party at her house that night.
The next evening, Will bought a brand new car and arrived at Philippe's party. During the party, Will and Sylvia started dancing, and Sylvia fell in love with Will silently. She was about to confess her feelings to Will when timekeeper Raymond arrived with his team and arrested Will. Sylvia was also upset with Will, thinking he was Henry's killer. Raymond first seized all of Will's time, leaving him with only 2 hours. Then he started arresting Will for the murder of Henry. Raymond asked Will why he killed Henry. Will told him, "I didn't kill him, he didn't want to live himself, so he gave me 116 years and then took his own life." But Raymond didn't believe Will. Will realized that Raymond would frame him in Henry's false case and put him in jail for life. So he took the opportunity to kill Raymond's men, free himself, take their gun, and took Sylvia hostage. Using Sylvia as a shield, Will escaped with her, evading Raymond and his men, and returned to Ghetto City. During this, Will had very little time left. He asked Sylvia for some time as a loan, but Sylvia refused to give him even a second, because she still thought he was Henry's killer. So he drove the car faster towards Ghetto City so he could borrow time from someone there. In his haste, he didn't notice the barbed wire laid across the road ahead. The car hit the wire and crashed down from the bridge. Will and Sylvia passed out in the accident. In reality, the wires on the road were laid by Fortis and his gang. Fortis saw that Sylvia had 10 years of time. He stole all of Sylvia's time and left the scene.
Just then, Will and Sylvia regained consciousness. When Sylvia looked at her arm, she was worried because she only had 30 minutes left. And Will also had only a few minutes left, but still he gave some of his minutes to Sylvia, which equalized their time. After this, Will quickly took Sylvia to his friend's house, the one he had given 10 years to. When his friend's wife opened the door and saw Will, she angrily told Will, "The 10 years you gave killed my husband. He wasted all the time on alcohol, which led to his death." Will was disappointed to hear this, but now these two also didn't have much time. If they didn't do something quickly, their death was certain. Just then, Will noticed diamond earrings in Sylvia's ears. By selling them, Will and Sylvia got 2 days of time. After this, Will took Sylvia to a phone booth. He called Sylvia's father, Philip, and told him that his daughter was still safe and sound. Raymond was also present with Philip at that time, and Will knew that Raymond was there too. Will demanded 10,000 years of time in exchange for Sylvia's release, and asked Philip to distribute those 10,000 years among the poor through the time bank, giving him until the next morning. Although this amount was nothing for Philip, he did not want to give time to the poor at any cost. Will brought Sylvia back to his house, where they waited for the morning. During this, Sylvia asked Will about his family. Will told her that his mother had died last night due to lack of time. Sylvia felt very bad hearing this and realized that the poor here live every moment in the fear of death. They have to work so hard to earn a single day's time. The next morning, as soon as the bank opened, Will and Sylvia kept an eye on it through the window, but the bank did not distribute the time among the poor. Sylvia was very disappointed to see that her daughter was not worth anything to her father compared to time. Sylvia now understood that her father was not just a businessman, but the head of the system. He collected years of his life from the deaths of the poor. Seeing Sylvia so disheartened, Will decided to send her back home. He took her to a phone booth and asked her to call her father for help. Will also gave Sylvia a weapon so she could protect herself. Sylvia was talking to her father on the phone when timekeeper Raymond quietly arrived and aimed a gun at Will. Raymond was about to shoot Will when Sylvia saw Raymond and, in a state of panic, shot Raymond. Will was shocked and went to Raymond. The bullet had only grazed Raymond's hand, which was bleeding heavily. Will checked Raymond's clock. Raymond had only 2 hours left. In fact, timekeepers also only received 1 day's time as salary every day. Will understood that by the time Raymond's team reached him, Raymond would probably die due to excessive blood loss. So Will gave Raymond 2 hours of time, took Raymond's car, and drove away from there. By shooting Raymond, Sylvia was now also on the crime list. Although Will told Sylvia that she could still get out of all this. Sylvia's life in Greenwich was like a caged bird. Her father Philip had imposed many restrictions on her, but here she felt a sense of freedom because here she was her own mistress, and Sylvia realized that something wrong was happening to the people here. Now she was also with Will in helping the poor get their rights. Will and Sylvia started robbing the rich together. Sylvia, who knew Greenwich City inside and out, planned that they would steal time capsules from the banks in Greenwich City and distribute them among the poor. Sylvia first robbed several of her father Philip's banks because Philip had collected all that time from the deaths of the poor. The two of them packed all the time capsules from the vault into a bag and left and started distributing them among the poor. After such a big theft, the government was also fed up with the two of them. Therefore, the government announced a reward of 10 years of time on their heads. Hearing this news, gangster Fortis started searching for them like dogs. But Will and Sylvia kept changing their hideouts every day, which kept them out of anyone's reach. The two were hiding in a hotel. They had no shortage of time, so they booked the entire hotel. Fortis arrived outside the hotel in search of them. He caught some people there and started asking them about Will and Sylvia, but those people were indebted to Will and Sylvia, so they were ready to die, but not ready to reveal Will and Sylvia's location. But when Fortis put too much pressure on those people, one of them, fearing death, told Fortis about the hotel where Will and Sylvia were hiding. After this, Fortis immediately reached there with his gang and caught them both. It was impossible for Will and Sylvia to escape from him now.
Fortis made Will sit at a table and challenged him to a time fight. Will understood that if he refused the challenge, Fortis's gang members would kill him. So he decided to arm wrestle him today. Fortis and Will grabbed each other's wrists, and the game of death began.
Fortis was an expert. He forced Will's hand down at the start, causing Will's time to transfer quickly to Fortis. But Will was not exerting any force, as if he was losing on purpose. But just when Will had 3 to 4 seconds of his life left, Will showed his power and instantly forced Fortis's hand down. Fortis's eyes widened in shock. He was trying with all his might to raise his hand, but he was weakened against Will's strength. Seeing this, Fortis's man looked at Fortis's clock. Their boss was about to die. Just then, Will took the opportunity to pull out a gun from his shoe and instantly shot all of Fortis's men, because if he hadn't done so, they would have killed him. With this, Fortis's time ran out, and he also died. Will and Sylvia quickly fled from there. During this, they saw that the rich had turned the whole game around. All the time Will and Sylvia had distributed among the poor was now worthless because the rich had increased the rate of inflation many times over. Seeing this, Will felt defeated and thought he would never be able to get the poor their rights. He told Sylvia that it was all over now. Even if they distributed 1,000 years to the people, the rich would increase inflation even more, so the condition of the people would never improve. Sylvia said there must be a way. Will said that they would have to steal millions of years and give them to these people. Only then could they control inflation. However, this was not easy, but Sylvia had a plan for it. The next morning, when Philippe reached the office with his bodyguards, Sylvia came there and told her father that she wanted to surrender. Then all the guards aimed their guns at Sylvia. But just then, Will, hidden in a guard's disguise, arrived from behind. He put a gun to Philippe's head and made him open the vault door. Will and Sylvia stole a time capsule from Philippe's vault, which contained 1 million years of time. Every single year in this time capsule came from the deaths of the poor. Will and Sylvia ran away with that time capsule. Meanwhile, when Raymond found out about this, he immediately went after Will and Sylvia. When Raymond checked his clock on his arm, he had less than 1 hour of time left. He called the headquarters and asked them to send his salary in a capsule. He was running out of time. But before he could transfer time from the capsule into his body, he saw Will's car, and without transferring time from the capsule into his body, he went after them. Because if those 1 million years reached the poor, every person in the ghetto time zone would become immortal, and the entire system created by the rich would be destroyed. Raymond put all his energy into catching Will and Sylvia, but he couldn't stop them. Will and Sylvia evaded Raymond and arrived in Ghetto City, where they handed the time capsule to a little girl. They knew Raymond followed them straight to Ghetto City, so they left that place and went to a desolate area. There, they had distributed millions of years among the people of Ghetto City, making them immortal. However, both of them were left with very little time themselves. Unfortunately, at that very moment, Raymond caught them. Raymond threatened Will, saying, "If you value your life, return all the stolen time." Then Will showed him the time on his clock. Will and Sylvia only had a few minutes left. Will said to Raymond, "Don't you forget? Remember when you were about to die, I lent you some time. You should return the time to me." Hearing this, Raymond remembered that in his haste to catch Will and Sylvia, he hadn't paid attention to his own time. When he looked at his clock, he had only 5 seconds left, which quickly turned to 0, and Raymond died. Will and Sylvia had escaped Raymond, but both of them now only had 1 minute each. Furthermore, there was no one to help them in that desolate area. They clearly saw their death approaching. Disappointed, the two hugged each other, and then Will noticed Raymond's car. Will immediately ran towards the car and upon reaching it, transferred Raymond's salary time to his clock. After that, he started running towards Sylvia to give her time too. Sylvia also was running toward Will quickly. Sylvia had only a few seconds left. This was exactly like the moment Will had lost his mom. Will had lost his mom, but he didn't want to lose Sylvia. Will was very close to Sylvia, but just then Sylvia fell into Will's arms. Luckily, Will grabbed Sylvia's hand at the right time, saving her life. Thanks to Will and Sylvia, all the people in Ghetto City were now immortal. They no longer needed to work in factories to earn every single hour. They all started heading towards Granite City to fulfill their dreams, which caused the entire system created by the rich to fail. With this, the story ends.
If you like this story, hit like and subscribe for more amazing stories.